Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. I'm Eric Guy, Chief Victory Officer here at the Center for Victory, where we're here to unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. Sit back and listen to a previously reported podcast of Your Best Day Yet, backed by popular demand. Hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. At Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. With me today, someone I just met, but I feel like she's a long-lost sister because a lot of the things that we do, I was so excited. Was in your presentation last month, Darcy Williams, in my Vistage meeting. Just really resonated because it's a lot of the things that we teach here at Center for Victory. And we definitely need more folks like you out there spreading good news, spreading good message, smiling like you're smiling, pumping people up, being with business leaders, especially that are changing the way we, think and operate and really impacting lives in their companies. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm going to shut up for a little bit and let you introduce yourself, if you would, please.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Eric. This is quite an honor. I'm super excited to be here. So quick introduction. As you already mentioned, my name is Darcy Williams. I am a certified executive level life and leadership coach. Right. And what does that mean? That basically means, I help people figure out what's getting in their way. And then I help them to grow through that so that they can get to wherever it is that they're trying to get to. I'm based in Columbus, Ohio. I live here with my husband, Spencer, and our two boys who are 7 and 9, who I affectionately refer to as my tiny tornadoes, because everywhere they go 100 miles an hour and leave a total path of destruction. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. And so I was at the Vistage meeting, which is just a, CEO's advisory group for those of you that don't know what it is, that I've been a part of for, I think, 13 years now. I've been a group, it's facilitated by one of my mentors and an all-around good guy, Mr. Dick Singer. And you were in there, you gave the presentation. And it's around the whole notion of designing your life, which he's like, oh, designing your life. Well, what does that mean? So there's many things I liked about it. Again, it just resonated with me for another person to be able to share these things, to think intentionally about how we do life, how we do business. I mean, we only got one trip around this thing, and most people aren't intentional. But one thing that especially struck me, that you said, okay, was the beware of destination addiction. Like, can you share what that actually means? Like, I'm going to shut up because I'm excited about it already, but go ahead and give us a little spiel on what that means. Beware of destination addiction.
Yeah. So destination addiction is basically when we get so hyper focused on whatever's on the horizon, right? Maybe it's a goal that we're trying to work towards. Maybe it's a promotion, whatever it is, that we totally lose sight of what's right in front of us. And you fall into this trap of telling yourself and thinking to yourself, I'll be happy when that thing happens. Right? I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when, I take that vacation or whatever the thing is. And we lose sight again of everything, all of those moments that there are that build up to that goal.
Yeah. And it, just kind of resonated with me because I hear it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and people are waiting. And I think there's this kind of, for most people, when they come at that, there's this like low level of depression, like, well, I haven't achieved yet. I haven't achieved. I'm not good enough. And it just, that script keeps playing in their head. And, the examples that you use, like I used to think, I've got some CEOs, for some reason this week, I had a lot of CEOs tell me about their kids and they're starting to drive, right? And I remember when I was, had my beginner's license, I was like, man, once I start driving, I'll be so happy. Like
Yeah.
now I don't want to drive. Like it's so funny. Like
Yeah.
you just think about the next thing. And that's a simple thing, which leads me kind of into my next question there. It's kind of a little segue, but who do you think's most susceptible to this trap that I'll be happy when?
Yeah, I think it's super widespread, right? I think you and I have both probably fallen into it. Certainly in the work that we do, we see people all the time who are falling prey to it, especially, high achievers, right? People who are used to setting these big, lofty goals and pursuing them. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with setting those big, lofty goals. Like I am all for it. The problem is, like you just said, right? We're so hyper focused on that thing. And then what happens is we get there and it doesn't feel the way that we thought that it would, right? There's like this letdown. And then it's like, okay, well, now I got to set the next one. And then again, we're deferring our happiness for like when we get to this, point, this destination that we're trying to reach. And so again, while setting goals and working towards them are all good things, and you should celebrate them, right? When you get there, you should look forward to arriving, but you also have to embrace all of the ups and all of the downs that you're going to experience along the way, right? Because it's going to be a journey. It's that old cliche of, life's a journey. And it's cliche because it's true, right? Life's a journey, going towards that goal, going towards that thing. You got to learn to enjoy those good days, right? Embrace, celebrate every win along the way, but then also embrace the downs, right? Embrace all of the times that you trip and fall along the way. And remember that those are learning experiences too. And those are to be celebrated just as much as the wins along the way and just as much as the actual arrival at, the destination.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into the whole neuroscience of that, which is pretty fascinating. But when you do that, when you just kind of lull into, I'll be happy when, and you just, like you said, you never reach that destination because it's never quite good enough, or you set yourself up for failure. It's like, well, once I have that vacation and you get there, it's like, right. Or I get that new car. It's like, yeah. Again, you celebrate them, but, so what, like, how do we get over that? Because I see so many people doing it, and I watched in the group because I was fortunate enough to have a seat like towards the back where I could see all the other people in the room, and they were like, "Ooh, yeah, I kind of do that." Right? It's like the next big thing, the next shining object. But what's the antidote for that? Like if somebody's fallen prey to that, what can they do?
Yeah, so I love the quote by Robert Holden, who is the author of Authentic Success. And he says in that book, he says, until you give up this idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. So, the antidote is to let go of the notion that your happiness is at this point in the future, right? You got to realize that happiness is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You get to decide today how you're going to live your life today. You get to decide today, am I going to be happy in this part of the journey towards wherever I'm going, or am I not, right? Or am I going to tell myself that I don't have a choice? And you got to just, be empowered. You got to be intentional about it. So, that I know that's easier said than done. It's a lot of mindset work. But it all starts with this idea that you have agency of your life, right?
Okay. I'm just going to back you up on that. What does that mean? Like, I know what it means, but what does that mean for people that go, I don't have no idea what she just said.
Yeah.
Agency.
You have control, right? You are the author of your book of life. You own the pen. Are things going to happen to you in this life? Absolutely. And you don't have control over that. But you have control over how you react to it. You have control about how you decide to move forward from that. And so that's what I mean by agency is you control your future. You control your own happiness.
Yeah. And one of the things, I don't know if you said it, but I think we talked about it in some way, either before or after something. And I don't know if we really used this terminology, but, I've heard it before. I don't know if it comes from the SEALs or whatever. It's just embrace the suck. Because you talked about the mountains and the valleys. I think a lot of people these days, like younger people, just expect to hit the mountain peak, and they don't realize that the valley is needed to get to the top. Right.
Yeah.
What would you say about that? About, just general struggle? Because that kind of plays into, I feel that plays into that. I'll be happy if,
Yeah.
or when.
Yeah. So I think about, this, the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, right? Fixed mindset being like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. Whereas a growth mindset is, I don't know how to do that yet.
Yes.
And asking yourself, how might I learn how to do that?
Let's back you up again. That magic word that you said,
mm-hmm.
that you, again, when I was in that presentation with you, lit some eyebrows up. I mean, it's like, whoa, what did you just say, Darcy? And it's that 3-letter word. Yet.
Yeah.
It's powerful, right?
Yep. That's right. Because yet allows you to realize that, again, you're on a journey. Yet allows you to realize that you get to learn something today, and you get to evolve today into a different person tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of my other go-to mottos, I believe this wholeheartedly, is like, there is no failure, right? You either win, it either works, that thing that you're doing, or you learn something. And again, that's not me being like, hey, the sky is always blue, right? There are going to be hard days, but you don't have to take, that trip and fall, that stumble, that, whatever you're perceiving as failure as a stopping point, right? It's going to teach you something. And those lessons that you learn through those stumbling moments are going to be just as, if not more powerful for you on your journey.
Yeah, I know, just as a little side note here, and I think on a past podcast, my daughter and I have talked about it, but this is one of the things that she actually uses with her students. And she teaches 6th grade, that word. She makes them actually say, I mean, she's taken photos and sent me pictures of her board that says yet. Yet. And she makes her kids recite that. And it's funny how much more they actually respond when you back that up with yet. Just that even at that young age, they get it. They understand it.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that she's doing that work, right? As young as they are, because it's a lot harder to learn these lessons the older you get, the higher up the chain you go. And it's almost heartbreaking for me when I'm doing this work with an executive who, just hasn't gotten these lessons yet. Right. Because it's all about that yet. But they're looking back and they're like, man, I wish I'd heard this when I was 20. I wish I'd heard this when I was 30. I could have enjoyed so much more. I could have not beat myself up quite so much. So I love doing that work in 6th grade.
Yeah. And a lot of people, that I found, I was just talking with a gentleman yesterday, and he has a thriving organization. And, he's in his 50s, and we were going over this stuff, and he's like, do you do this with everybody? Like, it was just some coaching. And like, yeah, it's total different way of thinking. I mean, he's made it, but he's, he really has hung on to the idea of when I get there, like, he hasn't let himself like celebrate all the wins he has. I mean, he has 3 different locations that he had, and it's just amazing. I would say this person's super successful, but in his mind, he's not.
Yeah. Right? And the thing is, like, when I see that, it's like, it hurts my heart for that person, but it also, that leader has to remember every single person under their tutelage, right? Under
Yeah.
their organization, what have you. They're taking more cues from the way that that leader is living than the words that are coming out of their mouth. So, word to your leaders out there is, if you feel like you've got an organization where people are struggling with that growth mindset, right? Where people are struggling with, I don't know how to do that, and not tacking that yet onto it. Evaluate yourself, right? Are you leading by example in that way? Because that's the way that you model the behavior for them, help them to see that it's not only something that you say, but something you believe, something that you do. And that will be the easiest way for them to emulate your example.
Very good. So in closing, could you just give us some snapshots of just a review of what we should take away? Anybody listening, watching, what should they take away from this today? I mean, lots of good nuggets, and we could go on and on. I'm already, I feel my heart pumping, like I'm exercising, and because I get really excited about this, especially when I'm talking to someone like you that's excited about it too, because we've seen the change. We've seen it in ourselves, and we see it in others every day. What are the 4 or 5 things that you could say, hey, focus on, boom, boom, boom?
Yeah. Yeah. So embrace yet, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Incorporate those 3 letters, that one word, into your vernacular and tack it onto the end of, every, I don't know how to do this. It's just, I don't know how to do this yet. So embrace yet is one. Happiness is a choice is the other, right? We can't control what happens to us, but we get to control how we respond to it.
Right.
I would say, remember that quote by Robert Holden, until you give up this idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. Right. So, again, celebrate the win, set the big goals, look forward to the vacations, right? Whatever is on the horizon, look forward to those things. Yes. But also enjoy the journey every day to get there. And remember that, there will be highs, there will be lows, but both of those things will teach you something. And all of that is a beautiful part of the process.
Perfect wrap up. Perfect, Darcy. Before we forget, how do folks get in touch with you? If they're listening or hearing this, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find my website. It's www.yourjourneyyourcoach.com. So that's my website. You can email me at Darcy. It's DARCI at wayfindingwdw.com. That's the name of my business, Wayfinding with Darcy Williams. So yeah, reach out. I'd love to help and be a part of anybody's journey. Anybody who needs the support to get where they're trying to get.
And we'll definitely put it in the notes here on when it gets released to YouTube, so people will have it there. If you don't know how to get in touch with her, please reach out. Anybody that's listening to this probably knows who I am, but we can connect you to Darcy. Darcy, you made my day. I'm done for the rest of the day. Not really, but I could be. It's a high note. I hope people got even just a nugget out of what you said today. Hopefully we can have you back on, because there's a lot of rich information that you have to share with folks. And I just love hearing it and going over it with somebody that's like-minded. So thank you. Really appreciate it. That's all for today, folks. Appreciate it if you subscribe. If you want to get notified, just hit that bell icon. You can reach us at centerforvictory.com. And just remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. See you again soon.